Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today ex-Marine Commando Girish Kaushik, who have served Indian Navy for close to 15 years as a Marine Commando. And in this interview, we'll try to understand his journey of joining Indian Navy, life within Indian Navy as a Marine Commando, and various life lessons that he has learned over his service. So thank you, sir, for coming on the interview and welcome.
Thank you very much, Akash. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my lifetime experience. And I believe whatever I share will be a value add to all of the participant or all of the people who are watching it.
So my first question to you would be, how was your life before joining Indian Navy back in 2000? So, and how did you decide, you wanted to join Indian Navy? How did that happen?
Actually, joining Navy or joining Forge was never been my dream job. I wanted to become an aeronautical engineering. And during my study days, meanwhile, I tried my luck joining Indian Navy because I was quite fascinated by their spotless white uniform. So I just gave it a try, and then I was having two options in my hand, choice to make either go for aeronautical engineering or getting into the Navy. So here I am.
So if you could tell us, you joined Indian Navy, then what made you decide, you wanted to become a Marcos or a Marine Commando? How did you decide that thing?
Marcos, like it is my fund of life. Enter the galaxy first, then look for the brightest star. And in Navy, Marcos are the only elite force. So actually, I was opting for two. I was going for two options: either become an air crew diver in Navy itself, or become a Marcos. But becoming a Marco was quite a good option, and I got an opportunity to see a small demo during my training days, which actually motivated me. And then on the spot screening test for all the volunteers who were there, and it all started after that.
So if you could tell us, how is the selection process of becoming a Marine Commando and the training part? If you could briefly give us an outline of how does it look like, the selection and the training both.
Okay, so as I said above, there was a small screening test. For me, it happened at my training base only. Otherwise, I have to opt for it to go as a volunteer. Then that test comprises of 1 mile of run, then 300 meters of swimming, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, etc. That too within the stipulated time and the minimum number to be achieved. And that is just to gauge the initial physical caliber of a potential candidate. Then we have to, as I said, we have to do it within the time and minimum number to be achieved. So to get the shortlisted for the Marcos volunteer course list, no Marcos volunteer. After that, we volunteer. We report to the training unit on a given date, and then actual 2 weeks of test screening starts from there only, which is to test our mental, physical, and psychological attributes of a candidate who can actually endure the next 19 to 24 weeks of rigorous training. It depends on the course structure. And final shortlisted candidate after these 2 weeks of training, then trained for various Marco skill set ranging from advanced weapon training, advanced field craft, or watermanship and all those.
I understand, a lot of Marcos goes to diving school and then they go to Abhimanyu. So how was your process in terms of selection?
See, earlier it was like that. You have to go to you could have directly go to Abhimanyu as I did. Like I was not a diver when I joined Marcos. I did my diving course after getting my Marcos course done. But soon after my course, the course procedure got changed. Every Marcos have to be a diver. So for that, they have to go through diving school, then get them accustomed with the ship diver course and also get the badge done. Then they join us in the Marcos base. This is how it was. But my course was like I did Marcos course, then I went for this ship diver course. But nowadays it is happening like these are phases: ship diver phase and then Marcos phase. One, if a candidate fails qualify the ship diver phase, then go for the Marcos phase. Then both of the badges will not be given. This is how it is. I don't know. It was 6 years back. The structure might have changed. I left Navy in 2015, so it's almost 6 years. 6 years now.
Okay. So we know about the special forces. They have probation, for example. Para SF has probation. Garuds have. So similarly, Marcos, as you said, you would have some selection system or probation. How was your experience there? And you would like to share some memorable incidences from your probation time?
Probation, like it was kind of a once in a lifetime exposure, which very fortunate people get to experience in their life, and I proudly say I'm one out of them. I always cherish the memories of we all course mates have created throughout the course during the course duration. But the hell week, all that 100 close to 100 hours of sleeplessness, complete rigorous activity without even a single second of sleep was allowed to us. So that had made our mind so strong that we can endure any challenge thrown upon us, be it a physical challenge, be it a mental challenge, or psychological in nature. So the hell week actually got stamped in back of my mind. If I can endure that 100 hours of rigorous training without any sleep, I can endure anything in my life. That was the most memorable experience I had.
So we know about these special forces. For example, we keep calling them special. It can be Marcos, it can be Garud, it can be Paracel. So what, according to you, makes them so special?
There's a difference between a force and a special force, as you said. But the never say die attitude, what a commando always have, makes them special, because a commando never falter on his ethics and values. There's a famous saying in our fraternity, like even if you fall on your face, you are still moving forward, so keep going. Doesn't matter to us like what is there, what not. If we are given a task, we have to complete it. That is why we are called special.
So I've heard that never give up and get those things done, which whatever has been tasked to you, from most of the commandos that I've spoken. Other than that, if you could tell us, one day of your life as a Marine commando, how does it look like in terms of roles, in terms of responsibilities and duties? How does one day, any ideal day, look like?
See, if we are not in actual ops scenario, like we are not fighting the terrorists, or we are not out there in Malacca Strait fighting all those pirates and not securing our country borders, then general routine is like the day starts at 6 a.m. with 1.5 hour of training. Then we rejoin at 9 o'clock, sharpen our skills, whatever what learned during the course, and our day ends generally at 6, let's say 7 or 8 p.m. after having rigorous sport of 2 hours minimum, be it basketball, football, or volleyball. This is generally general schedule. Between 9 to 5, we try to do firing practice. We go for long run swimming. Then we do some study, lectures on our communication equipment and all those Marcos techniques what we have learned, like how to conduct the CBR, that's combat beach reconnaissance, and how to go for special board section operation and all those. So we keep honing our skill based on that. What if we are tasked at a very immediate notice as always? So we have to be at top of it every time whenever we are tasked.
Marine commandos are also paratroopers, so they go to Agra and do their drops. So how was your experience as a paratrooper, your first paratrooping experience? How was that, jumping out of an aircraft?
Paratrooper is quite interesting chapter of my life. Like training was a good time ahead of first jump, but when we are on the aircraft and then the ramp opens with a particular sound, so that quite intriguing, I would say. Then I was having kind of mixed feeling, curious to jump, feel the openness of the sky for the first time, but at the same time, it's scared somewhere inside my heart. But as I said earlier, we never back off. So all the Marcos, all the special force guys muster our courage and just come out of a aircraft like a seasoned paratrooper. That was my first jump experience. It was really good. After that, it became like part and parcel of our job profile.
If you could tell us, what was your favorite weapon back then?
Weapon. There are so many weapons. Like we were using small MP5 machine guns. Then we are using Tabor. It's an Israeli small weapon having bullpup configuration, which can be used in assault and as well as into the close quarter ranges. But my favorite weapon was Galil sniper rifle, because as I was a sniper and a sniper trainer as well. So that is why it is. I have trained more than, let's say, 50 Marcos to be an accomplished sniper. The specialization is on 3 weapons, basically on PSG, Dragunov, and Galil. But Galil gives us advantage of higher adaptability in urban terrain as well as in the long but intermediate ranges. Like Dragunov is specialist for the longer ranges, and PSG's precision sniper gun is a German-made weapon. So that gives us advantage over urban terrain. But Galil has an adaptability to go for the intermediate ranges and as well as the urban ranges as well. And it also provides maximum adaptability feature to a sniper to be accustomed to the weapon in a very short period. The more comfortable you are with the weapon, more accurate you will be more accurate shot you will deliver. So that is why Galil is my favorite weapon.
Okay. So one question to you: does Marcos also go to NSG? Because I know a lot of Garud goes to NSG for training for a few courses. Parath, of course, they join in. There are a lot of people others, but does Marcos also go to NSG for any set of training?
See, yes, definitely for the training purpose, we do go for some specialized courses. Like some of our colleagues have already underwent. I didn't got that opportunity to undergo got trained under them, but there are various courses like special hostage rescue and bomb disposal, bomb demolition, and all those. So these are some certain specialization. This is it's not that we are not trained in, but there are certain training exchange of training practices. Like they might be having some good practices based on their experience. We might have some good practices based on our experience. So it's kind of an exchange program. Definitely, they are master of the land. So that is why some of our Marcos get chance to get trained under them.
Okay.
Not everyone, but some of us.
Okay. Because when you spoke about sniper, I know NSG has a dedicated team which actually makes snipers, or train them for them. So I thought probably you went there when you spoke about snipers.
See, before 2004, it was under NSG only, or it was under Army rather. We were doing our course there in Nahan, Army.
Yeah, barracks.
But after 2006, when Naval Special Warfare Tactical Training Center got instituted, when it was established, then the thought of having the specialist team of sniper who can train our own Marcos, so that we can save on the, let's say, logistics and the time and the specialist skill what we rather require, because they are not going to have the opportunity to fire a sniper from a ship, or let's say from a rig, okay, or from a SOR boat. So in Marcos, we have that exposure and the capability. So we train our coming budding snipers to own all those skill sets which are actually more relevant to Marcos.
So you have done, a lot of operation. Your deployment have been at various places. So if I can ask you, any memorable incidents as a Marine Commando which you still cherish?
There are many incidents, like I've been part of many various op scenarios or operation theaters. But I would like to share a couple of experiences. Once there was a training mission, exchange mission, as I said earlier. We were with the French Marines. We were with French Marines. Okay. So on one of our training days on the firing range, the French team leader, whom we fondly called as Chief, because he worked with UNO also, and he was chief of that particular squad. So we fondly called him Chief. So he kept a firing competition. So different scenarios were built up for the test like fire and move and reflex firing. Okay, some dodge firing were also there. Our team really did well, which was way beyond their expectations. All those French Marines, and they were really awestruck after watching our professionalism and accuracy. So that was an incident where our team together brought a good name to our country and some laurel as well. And the second incident is quite personal of nature. Like, as I said, being a sniper, I have to get myself trained first, because it was when Galil was inducted in Marcos, we were chunk of few good snipers were trained by Israeli snipers. So they came in India and trained us. So during the course, along with all my course mates, I was the most outspoken guy. and even most challenged. I was the only person who challenged the theories of atmospheric pressure affecting the bullet drag and range and all those drift and drop. So I was even criticized by other team members as well, because we have a mindset that foreigners are always good. They have so much of experience and they are so trained, but actually it is not that. Indians are not less than anybody else in this world, provided that we put our skill set in a right direction and we channelize our energy, and we can definitely win any war in this country, in this world. It's, okay, so I challenge them, and so one of my instructor also said that you speak a lot. I said, fine, I speak a lot, but uh, this is how I am. Because to be an instructor, I have to clear my concepts first. If I am not clear in my thought, I cannot train my Marcos. So that was my idea behind. And then came the actual day of test. We were given 5 rounds in 1 by 1 bullet, 1 by 1 target, 1 feet by 1 feet target, and the range was almost 550 meter. And everyone tried their hand on the target. Nobody in that complete group hit more than 3. Even Israelis hit 3, and I was the only person who hit all 5 bullets, that too in 15 centimeter of diameter. So it was like those guys was kept mum and say, yes, you don't only speak, you deliver also. That was my really memorable experience, where I could brought good name to my team and Marcos and country as well.
Sir, I'll take you back to the probation time, and you told me that you're also an instructor. So when
Yep.
you select a Marine Commando, what do you look into them? You pass them through various exercises, you give them all the ragda, but what are you actually looking for before you select a particular candidate?
See, it seems easy when you're sitting over the fence or sometime on the fence itself. Like for the people there in Navy or some other forces, seems easy to become a Marcos. But getting through that grind is not a cakewalk either. Had it been so easy, complete Navy or so many people would have been there, Marcos. So hardly 4 to 5% make a final cut. It's obvious qualities in a candidate. What we look, apart from the physical attributes, definitely physical capabilities are as much as required. But what we look are honesty, sincerity, self motivation, and the most important is caring for the team member. We have a couple of incidents where our Marcos buddies have sacrificed their life just to save their buddy's life. We have incidents. You might have heard about Chandrasekhar, Professor Chandrasekhar. He actually sacrificed his life just to save other buddy.
Yeah.
So this is how we go.
So you have served in Indian Navy for close to 15 years, and also as a Marine Commando. So if I can ask you, 3 life lessons that you have learned from the service time, which you still use or still believe in, which you would like to share with the audience who's going to watch us.
Life lessons, as I said, we never leave our buddy behind. Doesn't mean we don't leave a person in midst of adversity as well. The theory still applies here. Whomsoever trust me, I will never leave him. Okay. The second thing, we never disclose our next move. We keep it secret, and we surprise our opponent. And surprise is the best weapon for a commando. And the third thing, it always remains with me when the going gets tough and tough gets going. And tough people last, but tough time does not. So just be patient. All is going to be fine. These are the 3 life lessons I had in my life from my armed forces experience.
Yeah. Sir, I just have one question on the Marcos badge that we wear. So if you could tell us what was the idea behind it, if you can just give us a briefly explanation on what does it actually mean. We see wings there, we see anchor. Yeah.
See, broadly, this is my thought behind, like our team's thought. I don't know who actually envisaged what was the idea behind uh, designing that, but our thought was like, it's a emblem is there. Okay, then comes a anchor, then comes a dagger, and then there are wings. So our thought, I don't know whether it actually commensurate the design thought behind, but whosoever envisaged the design. So our thought was Indian emblem say India, the anchor say Navy, dagger says Marcos, and wing says paratrooper. So it's an Indian Naval Marine Commando who is a paratrooper as well. So this is what I believe. I don't know whether it commensurate that there or not.
Yeah. So you spoke about, teamwork. So also I want to understand from you, the role of a leadership, and, also how life of a Marine Commando or service within Indian Navy taught you to become a good leader, and what does leadership actually mean to you?
See, to me, is understanding the true strength of your team member and assigning the task as per their own capabilities. Like one could be good in assault weapon, one could be good in demolition, one could, like I was good in sniping. It is not that everyone is good at all. Everyone knows the traits, definitely, but one is specialist. So what we believe in Marcos, jack of all, master of one trait. This is how we go. Somebody is very good in combat diving. Somebody is very good in combat free fall as well. So leadership is like giving them the right task as per their best of the capabilities, and then trust them for the deliverables. There is no micromanagement and all those. A leader who always lead by the example and sets the right path and the tone for the team to be successful. As you said, like military leadership in corporate, since I've been corporate for the last 6 years, so military leadership cannot go apple to apple with corporate leadership because there's a heaven and hell difference between cultures and things at stake. In military, at most, our lives are at this stake, and the uh, nation's value or the reputation is at stake. Whereas in corporate, there are different ball game altogether. But yes, these traits and qualities imbibed throughout the military career definitely help us to chart the corporate transition, chart the plot in the corporate transition, and the negotiating the undercurrent of interdepartment politics, as you know. So leadership is definitely what we can definitely learn from our armed forces career.
If somebody wants to become a Marine Commando, so how can he basically start preparing for it?
See, preparation, physical attributes definitely have everybody have to do it, but one single point which can be a deciding factor is mental conditioning. That is very much required, I would say, whether it's going to make it or break it. One who is mentally strong is going to make it, otherwise not. There were better runners. When I joined, I saw people. I was hardly 5 feet 6 inches that time, 5 feet 7 inches, and having weight of let's say 50 52 kgs only. But I saw good runners, and they were running like anything, well built up. There were excellent swimmers and other professional athletes as well. But when they come for the course, very few of them can endure this to be successful Marcos. Okay, so it's all about your mental conditioning. A person who does not quit during the scariest of experience of his life, who only those are going to become Marcos. So I have been a very average, above average runner and an average swimmer. But though I improved when I passed out, but I could pass out just because the one single thing, never say die attitude. That was the only thing of behind all the successful Marcos.
So my final question to you would be, a lot of aspirants will be watching it who wants to join the armed forces. It can be Air Force, Army, or Navy. What will be your message to all those defense aspirants?
My message, whosoever wants to join armed forces, to all the armed forces aspirants, my message would be that this is the only profession which is all about from caste, creed, and religion. Okay, there is only one religion for us, that is India. And if you want to serve your country, come prepared to sacrifice all that what you have. Okay, but I can assure you, on top of that, when at the end of your military career, you will have all those experiences, all those traits. You will be a man from a boy, or rather gentleman from a boy, which a normal citizen can never dream of, can only dream of to be. Okay, so this is what I would like to share across to all the aspirants.
Okay. Thanks a lot for your times and sharing your experience as a Marine Commando and various life lessons that you have learned. I hope a lot of people who will be watching us will understand how life of a Marine Commando looks like, the training part, and various experience that you had. So thanks again, sir, for your time, and have a nice day, sir. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Akash, for giving me this opportunity to share my Marcos experience. I hope I'll be able to clear some fog around it
Yeah.
and by my experience, and I think some spark would have been produced to make some better soldiers in our beloved country. Jai Hind, Jai Marcos.